Is baseball truly America's pastime? Or America's greatest exercise in selective memory? Who invented baseball? If you grew up believing the tidy myth taught in school books, the answer is Abner Doubleday, Civil War hero, sketching the diamond in a Cooperstown cow pasture in 1839. But wait, did he? In 1907, the Mills Commission, desperate for a purely American origin story in an anxious young nation, swallowed a letter from a man named Abner Graves and declared it gospel. Doubleday himself never once claimed credit. His diaries are silent on the matter. Historians have shredded the tale for decades. Baseball didn't spring fully formed from American soil. It evolved, messily and incrementally, from English rounders and other bat and ball games documented as early as 1744 in London children's book. Alexander Cartwright in the Knickerbocker Club formalized the modern rules in 1845. 90-foot bases, 9 players, 3 strikes, because New York gentlemen needed order, not because a general had a eureka moment. So why do we still cling to the Doubleday fairy tale? Admitting the game crossed the Atlantic threatens the sacred narrative. Baseball as pure, pastoral, ours. The truth is more provocative. It was already being played in colonial America, at Valley Forge, on Harvard's campus. It wasn't invented, but claimed. How does a genteel club game for New York dandies become the obsession of a divided nation? It's quite simple. Civil War did it. Soldiers from every corner dragged bats and balls into camp, spreading the New York game like a virus. By war's end, what had been regional was national. But was baseball unifying? Or did it simply paper over the blood? While brothers killed each other, they played a game on opposite sides of the lines, then went back to the slaughter. Post-war, the game exploded commercially. In 1869, the Cincinnati Red Stockings revealed the first openly all-salaried team and went undefeated. Professionalism had arrived, and with it, the rot. Gamblers, bribes, contract jumping. Amateurs howled. The public paid to watch anyway. By 1876, William Hulbert's National League tried to impose order, expelling crooked players, enforcing discipline. Yet, the question persists, was baseball ever innocent? Or was the money always the real commissioner? The 1880s and 90s brought rival leagues, player revolts, and endless salary wars. Owners treated the athletes like indentured servants under the reserve clause. Fans cheered the spectacle while the men who made it possible were indentured. Then came 1919. 8 Chicago White Sox players allegedly threw the World Series for gamblers. They were acquitted in court, but the new commissioner, Kennesaw Mountain Landis, banned them for life anyway, to restore integrity. If the fix was so obvious and gambling was so rampant, why did it take a national scandal to pretend the game was clean? Landis, the stern patriarch, also kept black players out. The color line wasn't an accident, it was policy. Cap Anson had helped draw it back in the 1880s. Moses Fleetwood Walker played in the majors in 1884, then disappeared. The Negro Leagues thrived with stars like Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson, but the majors stayed lily white until 1947. Was Jackie Robinson's debut on April 15, 1947, baseball's finest hour? Or its most hypocritical? Branch Rickey signed him not purely from moral courage, but because he smelled talent and market expansion. Robinson endured death threats, spiked cleats, and racist abuse with superhuman grace. 11 weeks later, Larry Doby integrated the American leagues. The Negro Leagues collapsed as their best players were raided. How American is a game that required federal pressure, post-war economics, and one man's extraordinary forbearance just to let black men play? The post-war boom brought stadium moves, expansion, and television money. Babe Ruth had already saved the game after taking the Black Sox, saved the game from the Black Sox by turning it into a home run carnival in the live ball era. Attendance soared. Then free agency arrived in 1975 after the Messersmith-McNally grievance smashed the reserve clause. Players finally got market value. The owners cried poverty. Strikes followed. In 1972, 1981, the apocalyptic 1994-95 cancellation of the World Series. Fans were collateral damage. When the players became millionaires, did the soul of the game die? Or had owners simply lost their monopoly on exploitation? And then we get to the steroid era. Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa chasing Robert Maris in 1998. Barry Bonds hitting 73 homers in 2001. Home runs flying like never before. Fans packed the stadiums. The owners counted cash. Everyone looked the other way. Until they couldn't. The 2007 Mitchell Report named 89 players. Jose Canseco's book, Balco Raids, Congressional Hearings, Bonds, Clemens, McGwire. The Hall of Fame doors slammed shut for many. Was it cheating? Or was it the logical endpoint of a culture that worships records, money, and the next headline? Baseball didn't create the performance enhancement arms race. America did. The game just reflected it with louder applause. Today, in 2026, baseball experiments with robot umps, pitch clocks, bigger bases, and global tours. The 2026 World Baseball Classic returns. International talent, Dominican, Japanese, and Venezuelan dominate leaderboards. Attendance and youth participation still worry executives. The game is faster, more analytical, more global. Yet the old questions linger. Is it still America's pastime when football owns Sundays and basketball owns highlight reels? Or has baseball become a beautiful anachronism that survives precisely because it forces us to confront our contradictions? Myth versus reality, exclusion versus inclusion, corruption versus redemption. Baseball endures not despite its scandals, racism, greed, and lies, but because of them. It's the mirror we can't look away from, a game that pretends to be timeless while constantly reinventing itself, that sells nostalgia while chasing profit, that bans gamblers, but once looked the other way on juiced players. Every crack of the bat asks the same provocative question. Who are we really? And every time we return to the ballpark, hot dog in hand, hope in our hearts, we give the only answer that matters. We're still here, still watching, still believing the next pitch might change everything. Thank you for watching.